Hello everybody, it's me, General James. We are going to read Grass Sandals, The Travels of Basho by Dwayne Spivak. There were old men of China who made themselves nests in trees and lived in the branches. Alone in my house, only the morning glories straggled to my door. But let me tell you the story of Basho, who lived in Japan and walked all over his island country writing poems. 300 years ago, he lived in a small house next to a river. A friend gave him a basho, or banana tree. He planted it near his house and lighted this tree with ragged leaves so much that he changed his name to Basho. I think it's the same. Basho would sit in the doorway of his small house, sit with his breakfast bowl, look out at the river and mountains, and pour his tea in the company of morning glories. But one spring day, Basho felt restless and decided to travel. He decided to walk across Japan. He didn't need much. A rain hat made of tree bark, a raincoat made of thick grass to protect his black robe. He prepared for his journey by sewing his torn pants and stitching a string on his hat so it wouldn't fly off in the wind. Suddenly it pours. Shivering little monkey needs a grass raincoat. To his hat, he said, "Hat, I will soon show you your cherry blossoms." And he scribbled on his hat, "Soon cherry blossoms." Basho closed his small house and walked to the river. Basho began his journey on a boat, and many of his friends kept him company for a few miles on the river. His friends brought him presents for his trip, a paper coat to keep off chills, writing paper and inkstone, and for his feet on their long walk, woven grass sandals. So little was needed for simple traveling, a lot easier than it is today normally. He carried it all with him, tied up in a cloth. One morning at dawn, I waded in the wide river, pants wet to my knees. When they had crossed the river, Basho climbed out of the boat and waved to his friends. On the shore was a waterfall. He ducked into the cave behind the streaming water and laughed as it sprinkled to his face. I walked to find you, sometimes 5 or 6 miles. Cherries in blossom. In his grass sandals and black robe, Basho walked and walked, looking like a black crow, he thought. Near an old temple, he found a twin pine tree 1,000 years old. Basho sat and wrote a poem to this ancient twisted tree, picking up his pack and climbing the winding paths. He was surprised by sandy red bark in a spring orchard, and to these trees, too, he chanted a poem, for finally he had kept his promise to his hat. He walked beneath the cherry trees in blossom, and under the flowering branches met an old friend whose hair was white as the petals on the tree. At night, he often rested his head on grass pillows. Sometimes he slept on flowers in huts or in paper rooms. Sometimes he rested in a horse stall or in a bed where fleas nipped him. He slept in fishing villages and smelled the fishy smells. A tiny pink crab, tickling me, climbs up my leg from the glistening sea. Basho took his baths in hot springs, splashed in cold streams, and swam in the sea. He ate whatever he found or was given along the way. A farmer gave him a cucumber or a radish. An old woman invited him to share her noodles. Some days he made a fire, put water in a pot, and cooked rice and beans for his supper. Then he rolled the leftovers into rice balls to eat the next day as he journeyed. Let's peel cucumbers. Pick up fallen red apples for our small supper. Once a trusted farmer lent him a horse to ride across a wide grassy field. The wind blew on Basho's sun-tanned face as the horse trotted through the clover. When he heard a grasshopper or saw the horse eating flowers or spied a hawk circling, he took his ink brush and wrote a quick poem. Basho sent the horse back to the farmer with a poem in a pouch tied to the saddle. Hibiscus flowers, munched up in the horse's mouth, eaten one by one. In a mountain village, Basho met friends, and they had a party to watch the full moon, drinking tea and rice wine. Each could find a small moon reflecting in the bottom of his cup, while clouds and stars and shadows lifted. They created poems together, sitting under the night sky. Winking in the night, through holes in my paper wall, moon and the Milky Way. The next morning, as Basho was leaving, one friend gave him new grass sandals with laces dyed blue like the iris. Goodbye, my friend, and thank you. Thank you. Basho hugged his friend, crisscrossing the blue ties of his sandals around his ankles. He set out again on his walk across his island country of Japan. Stems of new iris blooming right on my own feet, shoelaces dyed blue. His blue-laced sandals carried him to distant beaches and fields and forests. Basho stopped to write a poem when he found a creature or person or plant that opened his eyes and his heart. He watched the fog curve over the hills. He noticed a cricket sleeping in the leaky hut. He smelled the rain. Each morning he tasted his tea. Hope it was good. In the evening he had heard a frog leap into a pond. And so, 300 years ago, he traveled and the world was his home. Old and quiet pond, suddenly a frog plops in a deep water sound. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you liked the video.